English translation, 378th contact. Thursday, 17th February 2005, 10:11 hours.
It was not my intention to come here at this time, but my duties left me no other choice. So I did what I promised you in the center today, because I do not have time for that in the next few weeks.
It is all right, my friend. So you got it all done. So can you tell me the news so I can write it down?
That is what I want to do.
Then I get the manual and also switch on the computer. Just a moment, my friend. So there is the folder, and the computer will also start immediately. Do you want to look for the parts that need to be changed yourself because you know better than me?
I will. This needs to be amended and as follows.
For this purpose, I copy these pages and write it directly into the copies. It will be easier for Bernadette.
But there is another thing to write, if you want to enter it into the computer right away. Well, then there is the following. You cannot find it in the directory.
I am sure Bernadette can help you with that. Just a moment. I will call her on the telephone.
3 telephone conversations back and forth follow, but the desired one cannot be found in the manual, as Quetzal says while I am on the phone with Bernadette. This resulted in the following little episode, Telephone Conversation.
On the 17th of February 2005, Billy was already on his feet around 9:30 hours, at an unusually early time for him. Probably he just could not sleep. I guessed this and left the kitchen to get to work. Sometime between 10:30 and 11 hours, Billy called me and said that Quetzal was with him and that they were looking for the keyword for the individual meditation in the core group manual, but could not find it. Since I have the manual electronically on my Mac, I told Billy that I would look it up immediately and call him right back. Said, done. I opened the manual file, called Billy back, and gave him the page and location where to find what was being looked for. He asked again and repeated the page number and the section that I told him and which I skimmed over at the same time. That cannot be it, I said, and at the same time I heard a man's voice in the background saying, that ish es nud. It obviously had to be Quetzal, who had looked up the passage in the manual and skimmed over it too. At first I was about to ask Billy if Quetzal was talking in the background, but then I just kept my mouth shut and kept looking. Then I told him again 2 or 3 spots, but they could not be the ones I was looking for, and I searched under a different keyword. And every time I heard Quetzal say something in the background, he apparently picked out the spots immediately and read off that it was not what was being looked for. His voice is very similar in tone to Billy's, but it sounds clearly younger and is a bit deeper, very masculine and extremely pleasant, calm and balanced with a very peaceful and lovable undertone. During the whole conversation, which lasted perhaps 3 to 4 minutes, I kept my question about Quetzal in check and also kept my thoughts in check so as not to betray myself with a loud inner yuxer shout with joy and not to deprive me of the unexpected joy. About that, I stupidly forgot to send a greeting to Quetzal, which of course annoyed me a lot in retrospect, because it would have been the icing on the cake of my experience. Even during the phone call, I could not suppress a quiet smile, because the 2 gentlemen obviously did not think that Quetzal could be heard by me, because otherwise he would have been silent for sure and perhaps communicated with Billy by hand signals or nodding. Shortly after 12 o'clock, the 2 of them finished their work, because Billy called me again and told me that he had Quetzal's changes ready for the manual and was in the kitchen. I went over to pick up my work and casually asked him if Quetzal's voice had about the same pitch as his. He looked at me and asked if I actually heard Quetzal. Sure, I said with a grin and repeated Quetzal's words to him. He confirmed it and said that he did not suspect that Quetzal could actually be heard. After all, he had been sitting on the sofa and had not spoken loudly. Laughing, I told him that I always listen very carefully and prick up my ears when he has something to tell me. It is hard to express the childlike joy I had when I caught Quetzal so unexpectedly, and I was even more pleased that I was able to deny myself the opportunity to spoil the unexpected joy by a hasty remark or by thinking too loudly, which I will have to live off for a long time before it is refreshed by a new experience, if happiness should ever hold me again. Bernadette Brand.
Then I will dictate to you what is necessary. Well,
That is also in the box. Done. Is there anything else?
That was all.
Thank you. That will make things even easier for us.
Further ones will hardly be possible. And what I have been able to make easier is that everything has now turned out for the better, and the storage is so powerful that the special measures are no longer necessary.
What I want to say is that you have studied hard on the Schweizerdeutsch, because like Ptah, you speak without an accent. You have studied hard, dear friend.
On the one hand, it was a need, and on the other hand, a pleasure. Ptah and I, when we are together, only speak Schweizerdeutsch with each other, which allows us to complement the language more and more.
It is very intimate to be able to talk to you and Ptah in my mother tongue.
We thought so too. Even Svath had cultivated the Schweizerdeutsch as well as the High German language, which is also our own, and which you also speak very well. Ptah has given me insight into the writings of the group members who made them. They are very good works, for which I also want to thank everyone.
It will be my pleasure to thank you all. Well, look here. I wrote this really fast before you got here. What do you think?
The salvation of humankind does not come from outside of him or her, not from a god and not from saints, even from angels or masters, and not from a guru, because every salvation is born from the inside of the human being himself or herself, starting and unfolding from the true value of his or her being, from his or her thought world, from feelings, from his or her love and wisdom, from inner peace and from rationality, from inner freedom and deep harmony. Sim Ya-se, Silver Star Center, 17th of February 2005, 09 to 55 hours, Billy.
A good word that makes the facts of the case clear. May it benefit you to publish it.
Thank you for your good sentiment. Whether it will be of use, time will tell, because it is not yet the great mass of earthly people who care about these things. It is actually only individuals. But everything starts small and then grows big over time.
A true word. 22. When I think only of how you began your mission in Hinwil in 1975 and what has come out of it up to this day, then this confirms your words completely.
But all the members of the group have played an enormous part in it, both those who have been with us since the beginning and those who have joined us over time. The world owes thanks to all of them, because they were and are the ones who did all the tremendous preparatory work so that the teaching can spread on the earth and among the human beings of this world, from which ultimately a general peace and real freedom and true love of the individual, true love of the neighbor and harmony should also emerge.
That is of correctness, but as usual, you forget to mention that you are the main contributor.
That is not so important, because without the great help of all the members, I would have been and still would be stranded.
From this point of view, your statement is true, but without your work, the whole thing would never have come about.
You should not always be talking about it, because somehow I am just embarrassed when you try to put me first. We as a group and association are all in the same boat. We are equal and we are one unit. None of us is more than the other, and each of us simply does what they can do. So there is not one thing that should be emphasized in particular, and that includes me. You also know that I do not consider myself to be greater or more valuable than I am to each member of the group, and I want that to continue.
That is understandable, but if...
Please, there are no ifs, ands, or buts, my friend.
But if you had not done your job...
All the members of the group did too.
I guess there is no point in discussing this with you. It is probably so that I must admit defeat. Do you also want to use this conversation as a contact report?
If you will just get it through your head, of course I will take the conversation in and record it. It is okay to know what a philanderer you are when you want to praise me. You know I do not approve of that.
It is so, I give up.
Fine, then we can get back to sensible things.
Then I would like to talk to you now in a very private wise, without any contact conversation notes coming out of it.
As you wish, then go ahead.